So hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So it's been a while since I doing this kind of talking video because since now is lockdown in Malaysia, so I was not able to go out and film some cars. So I would like to make this video, which is talking about my favorite car and which is also my dream car. So this video is basically just a talking video about that car. So before we start, make sure to subscribe, like and share my videos. So I hope you guys stay safe and please stay at home. My favorite car will be the BMW 5 Series. So let's talk about some history about the BMW 5 Series. So the BMW 5 Series is actually BMW's high-end executive luxury sedan, which was manufactured back in 1972 with the first generation BMW 5 Series E12, given its code name, being debuted between 1972 until 1981. Then it came the second generation E28 between 1981 until 1988, and the third generation E34 between 1988 to 1996, and the fourth generation, the E39, which is also a well-known car, between 1996 until 2003. Then it became the fifth generation, the E60. This is where the evolution of the BMW 5 Series, because in the E60 generation, BMW have put in a lot of effort into in terms of design and engineering between 2003 until 2010. And the best-selling BMW 5 Series would be the F10 between 2010 until 2016, and it became our current 7th generation G30 between 2016 until current time, which is 2020. So as you all know, the BMW 5 Series actually competes against its German competitors and some of the Japanese competitors. So the most well-known car that we all know, the BMW 5 Series competes, is the Mercedes-Benz E-Class and also the Audi A6. So in today's video, I will be talking about our Malaysian market, what BMW 5 Series has offered, and what it's like when compared to the most luxury Mercedes E-Class. So we will find out today. So there are 4 variants available in Malaysia, the BMW 5 Series G30. So the most base model is the 520i Luxury, which is price tag at around 328,800 ringgit Malaysia. Then it moved up to a 530e M-Sport. So this is actually a revised version which BMW have announced and have been launched since 2019. So the 530e M-Sport is priced at around 338,800 ringgit Malaysia. And then it came the petrol version, because the 530e is actually a plug-in hybrid, and it came to the 530i M-Sport. So this is strictly petrol version. It's priced at around 372,800 ringgit Malaysia. And the most high-end BMW 5 Series would be the M5, which is priced at around 1 million ringgit Malaysia. So in terms of performance figure, the 530i produces 184 horsepower and 290 Newton meters of torque. So this, given that this is a base model of the 5 Series, and its horsepower is not as high as compared to the Mercedes-Benz E200, which offers 197 horsepower and 320 Newton meters of torque. But it's more than enough for daily usage, in town usage, because you are not every time you will floor the throttle and you will go more than 100 kilometers per hour. So I think the 520i should be enough, and it's paired with the 8-speed ZF gearbox, standard across all variants. So as you all know, ZF is the BMW source of gearbox, and it's well known in its reliability and its smoothness when compared to the Mercedes-Benz G-Tronic gearbox. So moving along, we have the 530i, which is a more highly tuned version. So it produces 252 horsepower and 350 Newton meters of torque. Whereas in the 530e, it uses the 2-liter turbo, same as the 520i, but BMW has added in a 103 horsepower electric motor, so that it combined output of 252 horsepower and 290 Newton meters of torque. So it's actually comparable to the petrol version of the 5 Series, which is the 530i M-Sport. So for the exterior of the BMW 5 Series, standard for all variants, you get BMW LED headlights. And for the body kits, the 520i gets the luxury line package, whereas in the 530e and the 530i you receive a M-Sport body kit, whereas in the M5 you get a more aggressive, a bit of wide body design. To me, I think the M5 body kit looks better, but in the regular version, I think the M-Sport variant suits the car well. So in terms of dimension of the BMW 5 Series, so when you compare specs by specs, model by model, I take Mercedes E-Class as an example. The BMW 5 Series is an overall much bigger car when compared to the Mercedes-Benz E-Class. But when comparing to the S90, the S90 is actually a much larger car when comparing to the BMW 5 Series. So let's compare the 5 Series dimension with the E-Class. So in terms of length, E-Class is much shorter than the BMW 5 Series in 4923mm, whereas in the 5 Series it's in 4936mm. In terms of width, the BMW 5 Series is much more wider compared to the F10 generation in 1868mm, which is also more wider than the E-Class. The E-Class width is around 1852mm, and the wheelbase. So many people think that BMW 5 Series will have a tight rear space compared to the Mercedes E-Class. Actually, this is a false statement. It is much more, we will say, much more wider than the E-Class, because its wheelbase is in 2975mm. So the wheelbase is actually the front, between the front wheel and the rear wheel. So it's much more longer than the E-Class. The E-Class is around 2939mm, whereas in the 5 Series is 2975mm. In terms of height, BMW 5 Series, because it's a pretty sporty handling vehicle, so the height is controlled at 1479mm. It's much more taller than the E-Class, but it may not affect the handling of the BMW 5 Series, because in the 530i and the 530e M-Sport you get an adaptive suspension. That means you can switch between comfort, eco, sport, sport plus. For the boot space, the 5 Series actually is smaller than the E-Class in 530 liters, and given that its rear seat is fixed, so you cannot put longer item when compared to the E-Class, which has a 540 liters of boot space. So if you want more boot space, you can also split the rear seats by 40-20-40. In terms of the rim size, the 520i received a set of 18-inch silver alloy rim, whereas in the 530e you receive a gloss black 90-inch rim, whereas in the 530i you receive a dual-tone M-Sport rim, which has the same design as the 530e. So in terms of interior of the BMW 5 Series, so standard, you get a 10.25-inch BMW iDrive system. So it's an iDrive 6 system. And so moving along to the driver's side, so you get electronic adjustable front seat, standard across the range. And the 520i receive a sports leather steering wheel, whereas in the 530i and 530e and also the M5 you receive a M-Sport steering wheel. To me, the M-Sport steering wheel looks pretty chunky compared to the sports leather steering wheel that is found in the 520i. We look at the whole interior, like. it's actually, in my opinion, I think the E-Class looks more futuristic, but to me I prefer a more conventional interior like the BMW 5 Series does. It doesn't have a lot of fancy features like the E-Class does, but it's more than enough for daily usage, for mostly like people who always travel long distance trip and also came back from work. They want a more comfortable situation. I think the BMW does this very well, and the seats are relatively comfortable. And in terms of middle cluster, you get LCD middle cluster standard across the range, and it does not like the Audi virtual cockpit, which you can select navigations being projected in the screen. You just have some pretty simple multi-information display, because this is not the new car like the G23 series, so the meter is rather conventional, but it's more than enough for daily usage, and it's a pretty futuristic meter in my opinion. So moving along to the center console, you get a pretty luxury material, and you get an iDrive knob beside the gear knob, and the gear knob is BMW signature gear knob design with Steptronic and pedal shifter for the M-Sport variant, and also the M5. Behind that, you get a electronic parking brake and a center armrest. Center armrest is rather shallow in my opinion, but inside you get a USB port to link to the iDrive system, and you get a 4-zone climate control, so the front being digital, being touch sensitive, the rear one being button type. It's much better than the Mercedes E-Class, which offers only 3-zone climate controls, and above the climate control system, it's the iDrive system settings. So you get a 8 customizable stations, so you can set, let's say, your favorite destination, favorite phone calls, favorite music, and you're also given a CD for those who like to hear CDs. And in terms of safety, the BMW has equipped with 6 airbags, anti-roll braking system, EBD, hill start assist, dynamic traction control, dynamic stability control, and many more. So basically, it's a fully spec BMW, and these safety features are standard across the range. So this leads us to the conclusion of the video. So if you are the person who likes driving and you like the driving dynamics, the sharpness of the handling, and you want something that is more spacious, more low profile, I think you can consider the BMW 5 Series, because in terms of the design, it's not as pretty as the Mercedes-Benz E-Class or the Volvo S90, but it's definitely a good choice given that the specs are rather good compared to the Mercedes. But when comparing to the Volvo S90, which given full spec, I think this is a pretty decent choice. But if you are people who are looking for a car for business users and you need some face, and you like Mercedes cars, and you also like the futuristic interior and more fancy features, I think you can consider the Mercedes E-Class. So yeah, this is my video for today. So be sure to subscribe, like, and share my videos, and stay safe. Cheers guys.